Over 20 million people have watched Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, better known as the Minimalists, ask a single, highly effective question: how might your life be better with less stuff? This flowchart illustrates the exact American consumer habit their movement targets. It traces the relentless dopamine loop of retail therapy, where one-click shopping provides a temporary emotional fix that quickly turns into a permanent pile of discarded household items. Apply that exact same philosophy to an Indian household, and you hit a wall. Discarding a physical object here rarely feels like an emotional release. It feels like a betrayal. Throwing something away invites a full family tribunal. You immediately hear your mother demanding a detailed explanation for why you are retiring a perfectly functional pressure cooker from 1994, while the silent weight of your grandmother judges you from a stack of unused steel dabbas in the corner. The Western decluttering cure fails in the Indian home because it misdiagnoses the condition. It treats accumulation as a modern impulse control problem, ignoring a deep-seated cultural instinct. For decades, the Indian economy dictated that physical goods were inherently difficult to acquire. Buying a new household item required planning, effort, and waiting. Scarcity forced a culture of intense resourcefulness. A torn sari lived a second life as a dusting cloth. A broken umbrella evolved into a makeshift plant stake. A glass pickle jar was naturally repurposed to hold spices. This behavior preceded modern environmentalism. It was the strict, lived reality of a population using every fraction of a resource to survive, long before recycling became a curated lifestyle aesthetic. The collective memory of needing an item and not having it remains active in our parents and grandparents today. Modern instructions to simply discard an object clash directly with generational survival instincts. The physical environment eventually changed. Indian cities are now blanketed with aggressive flash sale notifications, influencer unboxing videos, and frictionless one-click digital checkouts. Today's Indian middle-class household operates under a new, volatile equation. When you combine modern commercial abundance with lingering historical anxiety, you create a very specific, modern hoarding trap. We buy refrigerators too large for a family of 3 and premium furniture that sits unused in the formal living room. These items are purchased to signal arrival into a specific social class, fulfilling an aspiration rather than a practical need. We also accumulate affection. Relatives arrive bearing heavy boxes of mithai, decorative wall hangings, and formal clothing. Discarding them feels impossible because the objects themselves represent familial love. We transitioned from surviving a genuine lack of resources to being entirely immobilized by an emotional surplus. This diagram illustrates the physical toll of that surplus. A pervasive someday logic takes over the floor plan, quietly establishing an entire parallel household inside the dark, unused storage areas of the home. These spaces fill up with items strictly reserved for hypothetical futures. The premium guest crockery, the heavy wedding gifts still wrapped in original packaging, and the formal bed sheets sit waiting for a special occasion that perpetually retreats. Maintaining this hidden inventory demands a high cognitive load. The physical cleaning, the endless reorganizing, and the quiet guilt over the organizing you haven't done act as a background mental process, constantly draining your attention. Storing aspirational items for the future does not secure a perfect tomorrow. It guarantees present-day anxiety and wastes space you currently live in. Treating minimalism purely as a lifestyle choice requires wealth. The conscious decision to let go of material items is an aesthetic privilege, exclusive to those who had the disposable income to accumulate an excess in the first place. Extreme Western decluttering exercises also ignore communal reality. The American concept of a solitary packing party, boxing up everything you own to see what you actually use, collapses in an Indian neighborhood. Your neighbors would immediately intervene, stay for chai, and the entire project would be derailed by noon. But the philosophical core of minimalism already exists here. Aparigraha, a foundational ethical principle in both Hindu and Jain traditions, explicitly translates to non-possessiveness. It is a historical framework for releasing attachment to things far beyond what you strictly need. We also have Dawn, the ingrained cultural practice of charitable giving. It provides a built-in, socially accepted mechanism for releasing objects that sit in darkness, transferring them directly to people who lack resources. Navigating modern consumerism doesn't require adopting a foreign aesthetic. It requires reclaiming indigenous principles that already understand the emotional weight of physical objects. Previous generations exercised this practical daily wisdom instinctively. Today, that instinct has to actively compete against millions of dollars of marketing designed to manufacture desire and convince you that a scented candle is a cultural necessity. This diagram shows the only evaluation that matters before bringing an object into your home. You must weigh the actual value it adds to your life against the specific space, money, and mental attention you are exchanging for it. The objective is not an empty room with stark white walls. The objective is an intentional environment where every single item you retain serves a clear, practical function or brings genuine joy. Look at the space around you. You have to ask whether the objects in your room are actively serving your life or whether you have quietly been serving them.